or not?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, I don't see them if they're there, and I don't see them, it's not a problem.
Wait a minute, let me check.
Glasses on.
There we go.
Not
No,
hiding somewhere.
there's nothing here. Nope. Oh, really? Did it scare you?
I tell you what, if he's not coming, I might just move over.
Bring your name plate.
Well, I think it's for the state, there's gonna be a lot of. Let's sit back and listen, sir.
You have any reason to think he's coming?
I have no idea.
I think if somebody starts shooting, I'd rather be dead.
Say that, I haven't practiced my dive.
I'm waiting for the last people to sign up. And
Okay.
you can go ahead and kick it off.
Well, good evening. It's time to begin our zoning meeting for April. We have kind of a long agenda tonight, so we're going to dive right in. Under new business, first item is application 2402S. Charles Love, owner, 318 New Salem Road, approximately 7.02 acres, located in land lot 51 of the 4th Land District. The applicant is requesting a special exception to reinitiate the construction of a barn dominium. Do we have someone here to speak to this issue? If you would, come up to the podium here, state your name and address for the record. Tell us what you're doing.
What you'd like to do.
Well, you just said it, you know, just wanted to continue with the barnuminium construction of it at 318 New Salem Road.
We need your
Charles.
name and address, please, sir.
318 New Salem Road, Charles Love.
Okay, and you got held up and you've been delayed about a year, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, well, we'll reserve calling you back up if we have any further questions. We'll get the staff report now. I don't see anyone signed up to speak. And do any of the commissioners have a question or two before we ask for the staff report?
Now, let's get it first.
Okay, Sylvia, you ready for the staff report?
Yes, sir. So we would recommend the granting of this. This is, Mr. Love has been very cooperative. We have had some requests made of him that he has complied with. Again, as it states on the agenda, and he himself stated, this was partially constructed. We changed some rules when he was in an interim, and now that he's ready to resume construction, he has to come before you under the new application of the code, and so the staff would recommend that you approve this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, any other follow-up from that? Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Have a motion to approve, do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. Second.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Nick, what's his name?
Okay, next item on the agenda, number 2, is recommend approval, denial of rezoning Woodland Church, 2290 North McDonough Road, from R2 and AR1 to AR1. Recommend rezoning to the Board of Commissioners. So do we have anyone here to speak to that? Okay.
Good evening. Name is Lavanda Thomas, 99 Gaynor Road, Griffin, Georgia, 30223.
Okay, anything you want to add that's not on the application?
What do you say?
What do you want to say?
Oh, what I'm looking here, they say gonna be changing it from R2 and AR1 to AR2, yes, AR1, which is, that would be what, agricultural?
Mhm.
And now it's residential and agricultural?
So how would that he wants, I'm Lakeisha Thomas, also stay with my father at 99 Gainer Road.
Yeah, that,
So he wants to know what is the impact to his residents? Would he be able to build another home on his property? What's the impact to the utilities being improved? Any impact to the roads, improvement with the transportation in the area? What is the impact will be to him? And most importantly also is taxes. What's the impact also
okay,
to his
I'm gonna
taxes?
hand you off to our
Okay.
Community Service
Thank
Director,
you.
City.
Yeah, and so, because this parcel is currently split between AR and R, the residential R2. Now, AR is agricultural and residential.
Correct.
So, when we're making zoning decisions for development, or if he wanted to build something or resell it, it is not ideal sometimes to have two different zonings on one parcel. So that's partly why he is asking to make the entire parcel a single zoning, which is the more reasonable situation, but also because as a church, if he wants to expand as a church, it would speak to the agricultural, residential, the AR zoning, more than it would just the R2. So I wouldn't anticipate, there's not going to be any impact to any neighboring, the only impact to any neighboring parcel would be the use, if the church wants to get bigger or build, a building in the back, they would have to come before the board and ask for that. So it really won't have any impact on the neighboring parcels. Now, maybe what you're thinking is if they wanted to build, 50 houses on this parcel.
Right.
That might be a traffic impact, but they wouldn't be able to do that just with the rezoning request. That's something totally different, and they would have to have a plan, and they would have to have road systems and things like that. So this is just so that the zoning of a single parcel is a consistent zoning, and the use is going to remain a church, and whatever the functions of the church could expand to.
So there'll be no effect on me at all.
No, sir. I mean, other than if the church built a building in the wooded area and took down some trees, it would affect you visually, but other than that, there would be no effect.
Well, it could affect, the way the wind blows and
Well, yeah, I
weather,
guess, yeah.
erosion,
Yeah.
and things of that nature.
Which-
So it
which-
may impact.
Which if the church, and if the church wants to expand, they would have to follow all of the state and local regulations for land disturbance and soil and erosion control and all that stuff.
All right.
That's very important.
Is it the same rule would apply, thank you, for the, any animals they want to maybe, I guess, put on?
Well,
the land or something like that?
I'd have to say that adding animals
Mhm.
might not be the function of a church that I'm familiar with, so
You never
that
know.
would start
You
to,
never know.
yeah, well, you never know, that's right. So that would start to change the land use.
Right.
Now, I shouldn't say that because that's a very narrow-minded thing to say, but and when you're introducing anything that impacts the property like that, it would have to come before the board again, because the use is a church, the use is not a farm.
Gotcha, okay.
So a farm may have the liberty to put animals on it without coming and asking anybody, but a church wouldn't have that because its use is different.
You have anything else? That,
And the church is the principal use.
Yeah.
it's up to you. Got anything else you want to say?
Since it don't affect us, we can do some go.
Thank you.
You bet, yes, ma'am.
Okay, next person that signed up is Kathy Chapman.
Hi, my name is Kathy Chapman. I live on 1985A North Walker's Mill Road. And when this first went out, it said something about the church was gonna build a church campground to have campsites for kids and maybe adults as well. We have a private driveway that the land comes up to. And I don't know if they're going to block, maybe put up a fence or something to keep it to where they won't come over onto our side of the property. So that's my only concern is, we have a lot of land just out there that I don't want people just coming and going as they please.
Chairman, would you like me to answer anything on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
trying to spot it here on the map. I was
Yep.
trying to see where her property was in relation to the map here.
And so, so the rezoning would not address that. But you are right, the anticipated, the intention of the church, and he will be here to speak on this tonight, will be a separate action for a special use, exceptional use. That will have to come, he'll have to ask for that separately, but it is fair to say that that is his next intended step, but that's not what this decision is. This decision is just the zoning
Just
part.
for the zoning.
But definitely keep an eye out, and certainly to any extent that the board wants to hear your comments now, obviously they can. But this isn't going to address what he wants to do with the property next. This is only the rezoning.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, so if the board has additional questions, they certainly have the liberty to ask you now. Or the applicant, who
Can you
is.
go and show us where your property is on the map over there?
If I can find it. It's right here, in this area.
Oh, okay.
Inyo Drive is our private driveway, and it goes right through here.
Okay, thank you.
And that's probably an additional concern for the first, Mr. Thomas, too, is that should the expansion of the church include, up to their property, that would be probably something they would want to articulate as some division, so it keeps everything separate.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, he didn't sign up to speak. That's
Oh.
okay, come on up and give
Come
us
on.
your mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Forgive me for not signing up to speak.
Name and address.
My name's Stuart Boyce. I'm the pastor of Woodland Church at 2290 North McDonough Road. My residence is in McDonough. Do you need that address?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
1195 North McDonough Road, North Ola Road in McDonough.
Okay, as you heard, we're here from the zoning, but
That's
if
correct.
you wanted to share a few thoughts about what you're planning to do, it would probably be.
We are. Our goal is to, on a broad scale, have our church property be usable for the community. And we'd like to see it be used for more than just once a week on Sundays. And so our goal of wanting to have a retreat, a place where people can have a retreat, is all contained within the borders of our property, with buffers of land so that visually it should not and won't interfere with any of our neighbors. All of the structures and things that are planned are all well within the boundaries of the property. Any retreats and things like that would be supervised. They're gonna be people, we weren't gonna be giving people the option of wandering around. They would be directed to certain places with certain activities, especially if they're young people, like a youth camp, have the youth out there for a week. They're gonna have supervision, and if it's necessary for us to separate the property line so that people don't wander on there, we can address that.
Okay, that was what I was listening.
We do not want to interfere or cause consternation to our neighbors.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Any questions from up front?
I have a comment, and this deals with the fact that we are very specific when we deal with any particular activity, even a church. I was on this board several years back when we rezoned a tract on 92 Highway strictly so a church could be built. and we got a Dollar General sitting right in the front yard now. And so we have to look at that kind of stuff and see not only what is supposed to be there or what is proposed to be there, but what could allow to be built there. Thank you.
Mary Louise, you want to comment?
The only comment that I would have would be to question the transportation, the parking that you have currently on the facility, that you have adequate for the church,
Yes, ma'am.
coming and going, entrances, whatnot, that may or may not interfere with the community. Would not be expanded in any way with this additional use that you might have in some time future? Have you thought about that?
Have we thought about traffic flow and things of that nature?
Can-
Is that what
Can you please come back up to the podium, please?
Have we thought about traffic flow? Is that what you mean? Yes. Should the plans that we have come to fruition, it would require some deceleration lanes and things of that nature and cut-ins so that it would not interfere with traffic flow. We're aware of that, yes,
Thank you. That's,
and ready to deal with it as it comes along.
thank you very much.
Do I need to stay up here?
Hang on just a sec, Bruce,
Yes,
have you got any? No, sir. Okay, I don't either, so I think.
We're done?
We're done. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that it be approved, that it be approved for rezoning.
Have a motion to approve, I have a second.
Did you give your staff?
Seconded by Mr.
Um,
Howard.
Would the planning commission like to hear the staff report?
Well, that would probably be good too.
Okay.
I do want to be clear that while we recommend the rezoning, that the development of the plan for expansion and why it's not presented at the same time is, and I have discussed with the applicant, it's going to take a greater attention to detail and more information. So I am recommending the approval of the rezoning in isolation, and I don't want to imply that I am recommending the expansion until we have what we all consider to be the adequate information.
Good point, good point.
Thank you.
So again, this is just the rezoning. Okay. Those in favor of the motion and the second?
Who seconded?
Bruce.
Okay.
Okay, those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Are there any conditions on this?
All right, very good. Okay, next item on the agenda. And before we get started with item number 3, I was gonna ask Sylvia to kind of shed some light on what's going on before we embark on this.
Yes, sir. I'm going to come down and get close to the map. So what you're looking at here is a map of the Sunnyside, what we now call a service district, because as you all know, if you're familiar with Sunnyside, that Sunnyside petitioned the state to sort of be unchartered and get rid of its cityhood. So what that means is the county has to acknowledge zoning for the Sunnyside so that we can regulate like we would anywhere else in the county. So there are 105 parcels within this circular area, which is the former city of Sunnyside, 19 of which, and this is the tricky part, and tricky only in the sense it's hard to explain, is that 19 parcels were cut in half. Well, not in half, because some of them are unevenly cut. So we had to address those separately than just the block, or the circle in this case, that is the entire city of Sunnyside. So the actions you'll hear are, one action that approves the rezoning of all of the parcels within Sunnyside that are not cut in half by the city limit. So what we did was, we went through parcel by parcel, and we said, what makes sense? What continues the intent of what Sunnyside originally was? So you'll see, say this example, because it's very good and easy to see. The majority of the parcel is AR one, and it's split by the city limit, and the other side of it is R2, then our recommendation would be to make the whole thing AR1. So that, for the same reasons that we talked about earlier, it's just difficult sometimes, even when you come down and talk to what's going on. It's difficult sometimes, it doesn't matter now, because nobody's changing what it's useful now. But in the future, if it's cut between two different, types of zoning, it may make it difficult. The exceptions, I do want to point out, are, you see here, there's a couple of parcels that don't have a zoning, that are white. Because, so we assign them zoning, and in this case, where our recommendation is to make it for residential, because everything around it is residential. There's also a parcel here that is the city hall, that now is owned by the county. So we are recommending rezoning that to office or public institutional, because it'll be a public building, because it's owned by the county. Then also, I think it's worthy of mentioning that the interior lots of this parcel, which is 500-06019, and this parcel, which is 500-04014, you see how they're commercial in a sea of residential? So we took this opportunity to recommend that those be rezoned to residential. So it was more consistent as an entire body of parcels. So we've had a few questions from some of you that are in the room about the parcels that are split apart. So we tried to maintain the integrity of Sunnyside, and in most cases, you're gonna see that we're recommending the part that's in the county is just rezoned to the part to be exactly what it is in the city. And the reason we have to do this is because this is all city zoning, which isn't on our books, isn't in our code. And once the city of Sunnyside goes away, is unchartered, in order to move forward with development or answering questions, we just have to assign our zoning. And in some cases, they'll be very similar, if not identical. But I want to make sure we're clear that there are parcels that, maybe a good example is the one here, over on the North Expressway, that it's C1B, which is one level of commercial, and C2, which is a different level of commercial. And why that matters is, you can build certain things on C2 that you can't build in C1. Well, I mean, if I've got a property that's split in half, how does the county manage that? So we're creating consistency in the 19 parcels that are cut by the city limits. I hope that wasn't more confusing than less confusing. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, Chairman, if you're okay with that.
That's good.
Thank you.
What about the 4035, the ones in the ones that white with pink?
This one here?
No, the other one. Yeah, that one.
This one? This one?
No. Yeah, that one.
Okay. So, see, it's white, so there wasn't no zoning in it, so it'll be zoned, well, I shouldn't
C.
speak. Is it C1? 241
C1.
03038, because this is C1, this whole parcel will now be C1. Is this yours? You own it? Okay. So, now again, we put our minds together with our skill set and knowledge, and the basis being the city zoning. So this would be your opportunity to speak on.
Well, there is another like 4 months without renting, so I have to be sure how long it will take more to rent the place.
Well, so you're renting a
Well, this
building?
is the house and property, but I have tenants that wants to rent.
Oh, I see. Well, now, zoning doesn't, well, I can't say it never does, but typically zoning doesn't regulate the rent.
Yes, it's because they're trying to get permits
Okay.
to build
Yeah.
businesses there.
And so this resolves that.
Okay.
So if I phone call about this property, which I bet we have.
Yeah.
We can't give you a permit for a property that we don't even know what zoning it is because it's not in the county yet. So this exercise, and all of its steps, which is this board, and then it'll have to go to the Board of Commissioners. If they're approved, then we can start issuing permits, which is exactly one of the reasons this is an important thing to do.
Sylvia, also, remember, we imposed a moratorium after the city of Sunnyside was terminated
Oh, I'm sorry,
effective
yes.
January 1.
So a moratorium
To allow
on
you any permit, to allow us to be able to get this zoned.
Oh, well, so thank you, yes, I wasn't remembering that. So in order to permit, this has to be done.
Correct.
You can't issue permit.
They have another tenant, and he came to do the permit, and they allowed to keep the permit to that person.
Well, it may have been before the
No,
moratorium.
that's after April.
It was
After
what?
April. After the memorandum was.
In this year, 2024?
It was a mistake.
We issued a permit in April of '24, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
A permit for what?
But they renovated his license, that's what.
A business license?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that's different. That's not covered by, that's not a building permit. That's not covered by the moratorium.
So business license can be renewed. But maybe not a new business license, because the business is what you are allowed to do in a certain area is dictated
Right.
by how it's zoned. So a renewal, a business license that already existed, that was getting renewed, that can happen.
Yeah,
But a new business license couldn't be issued until we understand what the zoning is.
that's correct.
Newton, do you think you need to spend a minute to explain how this happened, the legislation that triggered this, or are they up to?
Well, I mean, we can, John, but the Sylvia knows as much about it as I do, pretty
Well,
much.
and so I do think it's important to remember what I said in the beginning is, the Spalding County didn't initiate this, right? The city of Sunnyside, had resigned its charter, the state passed legislation that accepted that, and now we're sort of going through the mechanics of what the county has to do to be the governing body over the city, because the city isn't a city anymore. Does that make sense? So that's the exercise that we're going through now. Now, if you want to know the details of that, I'm gonna let Liam take that, but if that's all you need to know about that, then we don't have to go into any further
Well,
detail.
no, that's my question.
Okay.
Is Sunnyside gonna disappear?
Well,
Is my address gonna change?
No.
Is zip code gonna change?
No.
and that's,
The city ceased to exist January 1st of '24. And the reason for that is because the city has to have more people and elected officials besides Mr. Slaughter up here running a city. And the city was not able to perform the duties that are required of a city under Georgia law. So, the last city council, with Mr. Slaughter's leadership, authorized the local legislative delegation to introduce local legislation to terminate Sunnyside's charter. So that legislation was passed, and the legislation sets an outline for what has to be done to assimilate Sunnyside into Spalding County. One of those things is the circle that was the city limits of Sunnyside, until we adopt the zoning map and until everything is done to complete the transition, that is now known as the Sunnyside Services District. Now, under that legislation, the county has the obligation to post signage where the city limits were, to designate the boundaries of Sunnyside as a historic previous municipality.
so to be clear, it wasn't initiated by the county.
You already can't get a package unless you put Hampton 30228 as the city and the zip. Although they have a post office that everyone else gets regular mail. You
The-
can't even Google the address. It automatically populates Hampton. It has done that for years.
So now, that's not that's a function of the post office.
That's correct. That, and the state even, the legislation has no impact on the federal postal process. So, and it could be,
Why did everything change? You all
Okay, what you're talking about is Google's fault. They are the ones telling everybody that we're happy. Everybody else, if you go online, we're not happy. Because if you go into like to the National Weather Service and put in the Sunnyside zip code, it identifies me as being in Sunnyside.
It's due to the USPS database, because Sunnyside has its post office. The people proper in Sunnyside do not have a physical address in the United States Postal Database. That's why if you use Hampton, it is legitimate as an address, because, I mean, our two neighbors down had a mailbox, uses Hampton, we do the same thing. You can have your mail delivered to your home if you use Hampton.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everybody on Malia Road and, around Sunnyside, even down Taylor Road, in Spalding County, outside of Sunnyside, is addressed in the USPS database as Hampton. And that's why, I mean, that's always been a.
But you folks have nothing whatsoever to do with that, right?
no.
Well, do
Okay.
y'all have something to do with the fact that you used my name, but when I didn't ask for anything, and you used Page and Valley. Page and Valley didn't ask for anything,
We're on Taylor Road, like, we're split.
all right? And I don't like the fact that my neighbors are coming to me asking why I have requested for things to be.
Well, because
I
because-
did not ask for
Because
anything.
the law requires,
Oh, the law requires you to use my name.
well, requires us to use your, I guess I'm not, what do you mean your name? Where,
They put my name out there, they sent out
Is the
postcards.
property-
Yes, and I don't appreciate that. I'm a
oh,
private
so
person.
like, you feel like it was reading as if you initiated the zoning?
That's
the
how
way
it
you
was
did it.
reading, that's how you worded it.
Well, okay, so that would definitely be something we would want to address, because to your point, you did initiate it.
And her house is one of those right on the line that's split, and I think that's why it's specific.
Yeah, because anything that
Her
wasn't
name,
split,
because
yes.
she's the owner of that address, but she's right, because my mama, who is the neighbor, went over there, because she had a sign in the yard, what
Which
she
I didn't
fixed
ask
to
for a
do.
sign in the yard, I didn't ask for,
No, we don't.
I didn't ask for any of this.
Well, the law requires us to put a sign up, that's what I meant, but yes, you're right, it should not be read that you initiated. Yes, ma'am.
But it's even on the little Excel sheet or whatever you got up there that Page and Valley was like, no, she didn't.
Well, what do you mean by partially here and partially there? Because I've lived in Sunnyside since 1972. Okay, excuse me.
In the early
She knows everything. When I lived there for years and years and years, the sign that said Sunnyside City Limits was not half and half of my house. It was between my house and Danny Smith's house, next door neighbor. And that's where it's been for a long time until all of a sudden the sign changed.
Is this your property, you think?
Yes,
It's
yes.
117
Yes, yep,
So,
that's it.
I mean,
Now,
so,
when I first went up there, I had to pay city and county taxes.
well, that's anybody who resides in the county.
Welcome to the
All
world.
reside in the city. Oh, sorry.
We have to have,
They told me that they only asked for something when they needed it, but all of a sudden, I never got taxes from the city anymore, it's only from the county.
well,
Unfortunately, I'm not sure I know.
well, don't tell anybody you didn't get a notice.
And when my daughter and son-in-law went to one of the meetings up there, they said I should have never been charged.
Well, now, some cities choose not to tax their residents. But the city and the county taxes are separate. The county, levies a tax and then the city has an opportunity
Why?
to.
You live in the county. Why does the city
That's a
got
question for the tax
money out of
commissioner.
it?
Because the city by its charter had taxing authority in addition to the county. And the city had taxing authority in its charter.
Well, should we
And-
only get from city?
Well, now you will only get a county tax bill because there is no city. All right, now, the boundaries,
Because.
you want to get two tax bills?
Everybody that knows me knows I live in Sunnyside. And all
Well-
of a sudden, I don't live in Sunnyside.
Well,
It has caused so much trouble, you wouldn't believe.
It's Sunnyside community.
As mentioned earlier, when you are an active city in the state of Georgia, you have to maintain certain services. And if the city wasn't, for whatever reason.
Don't they never get to it?
No, I'm not saying never, I'm just saying that's what ultimately led to the resignation of the charter. But if nobody runs for office, and there is no
Right.
council, I mean, who runs the city?
There was no one to do the necessary city work, other than Mr. Slaughter.
Well, why
At-
weren't people that are inside that circle and, properties that are adjacent to the city limit line notified that the charter had been asked to be rescinded?
Yes.
Well, it had to have been before January if it was effective January first.
There are procedures under state,
Here right now.
there are procedures under state law for local legislation to rescind a charter. Those require notice and publication in the paper, and that was complied with.
So, you know,
Folks, I know the newspaper is not the way it was, but nonetheless, the law still says notice is deemed given when it's put in the paper.
Is this gonna make our houses not, worth what they are now? Is it gonna make them go down? But like, if you wanted to sell your house, it's gonna have to be down now because of this?
well, you know, I'm not a marketing person, but, and I'm not a valuation person, I'm not a tax assessor, but there should be no
Be no
obvious
difference.
reason that your value would go down, because to your point, who knows you're in or out of the city that's buying that house? If it's an area, they like what they see, maybe it's built a certain way, the yard is comparable with what they need. So you know, whether or not you're in or out of the city, now, I'm not saying it never does. Sometimes it has to do with school districts, sometimes it has to do with amenities that are available. But that's not gonna change whether you're inside this circle or this circle goes away. So I don't see that affecting your.
Do you know, across from us is just a field. Is that gonna mean that somebody wants to make that a neighborhood that's gonna make it?
No more than it did before. No more than it did before. And the reason for that,
The strip, because what you let, that's the field. Right.
May I
So this is
talk to
R2
Sylvia, make a
and
suggestion?
R1, it's proposed residential. So R2 may have a different density. Maybe you can build more houses than you could in R1, maybe the houses can be a little smaller in R2, but it's both residential. So really where you start to see neighborhoods develop is whoever owns the land sells it to somebody who wants to build lots of houses. And that has nothing to do with whether or not you're in or out of
Correct.
Sunnyside. That's capitalism in America.
And that doesn't have any difference between the zoning from one to the other?
Not in this particular case, because it's both residential. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And why would our house be half and half when the city limits was over on this side?
the city limits were set by the charter. Ma'am, the city limits were set by the charter, and the charter provided that the city limits went from a point 1/2 mile out in just a circle. Well, that circle did not follow parcel lines, okay? So we had no choice. Now, the law also provides that if you have a zoning ordinance and you're gonna apply that within a jurisdiction, all the parcels within that jurisdiction have to be zoned. Now, what the legislation said, and Sunnyside had a zoning ordinance. I think, Mr. Slaughter, y'all adopted that around the late 1990s. Do you recall that? The zoning ordinance. Okay. You remember it? Okay. Mr. Slaughter's been on the city council of Sunnyside since before I was born, and I'm 66. Okay, all right. And I worked with Mr. Slaughter and watched the city be unable to get people to volunteer to serve, unable to get folks to run for office, and Mr. Slaughter became Sunnyside. Okay? And it just couldn't be sustained that way as a city. There was too much for him to do. All right. So,
So nobody else can do it.
and nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to do it. We had a meeting up there about 2 years ago, wasn't it, Mr. Slaughter, to ask people to run for office before y'all had to do this. And you had people that showed up, had people who talked like they were interested, but when push came to shove, nobody was willing to sign on the line to take the responsibility. Now, what the legislation does is it creates, that circle is now called the Sunnyside Services District in Spalding County. And Ms. Reddick's office, for right now, has a zoning ordinance that applies to that and a different zoning ordinance that applies to Spalding County. So the goal, what we've tried to do is to take, what her office has tried to do is take as close as they could the zoning that was in Sunnyside and apply a Spalding County class closely to that. So R1, single-family residential with 2,000 square foot minimums, right? R2, single-family residential class, 1,750.
So
Okay.
having the R2, it means it's not residential, you could do it for commercial.
No, it's a single-family residential class, no matter.
Single-family residence, which means one house.
One house.
Somebody would have to come in and get it rezoned to build multiple houses or a business, and that, that would be the meaning you would want to know.
Right. Over the past 6 years, Sunnyside's had 2 rezonings. One was the RV place. After the tornado took out the Shell station, and that had to be rezoned to allow him to put RVs there. And I don't think anybody was real happy with that, but
Will we still be, Spalding County?
oh, yeah, yeah.
But Hampton's not Spalding County.
It's just an address.
It's just,
County lines don't change.
man, for example, if you go past Rover, you have a Williamson address, even though there's still 5 more miles of Spalding County. We can't, the local government doesn't handle addresses at all.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't do it.
What I said was, if I was giving you an example of Rover, if you go out Georgia 362 toward Williamson, you get to Rover, those addresses from there all the way the rest of the county to the Pike County line, those are Williamson addresses, but they're in Spalding County.
Mr. Galloway,
The street that I live on, where I am is Sunnyside, but on down the road is Griffin.
Right.
Mr. Galloway, could I interject something here? Miss Sylvia? Sunnyside is not going away. Sunnyside is now, rather than an incorporated area, it is a community. If you go down Old Atlanta Road, if you're coming in from Griffin, there is a sign on the right-hand side in the 4,000 block of Old Atlanta Road that says Pomona Community. And you are not going to go away as an entity. There are tons of communities in Spalding County. We've only had 3 incorporated areas. That was Orchard Hill and City of Griffin and Sunnyside. But Pomona is as much a community, and Sunnyside is still going to be your community. And don't let anybody tell you that there's not going to be any more Sunnyside. Now, if you're having problems on your street addresses, you can go to the City of Griffin's GPS folks. They're still handling the county, aren't they? And you can have a street address assigned to you if you don't already know what yours should be.
But I have another question. Will, now that we consider party director, is that right?
No, you're unincorporated Spalding County.
Spalding County. If we have a mailbox that says Hampton, which is not, do we need to change it to Griffin?
No, because as we said, the Federal Postal Service, it dictates those types of decisions. And an assignment, like say if somebody said, I don't have an assigned address, it's actually the tax assessor that assigns the address, and then they're acknowledged by the Griffin GIS department, at least right now. So I just want everybody to be assured that we wouldn't have manipulated what your address should say. That wouldn't be our authority, it wouldn't be our interest. So if that's your concern, certainly we can talk to you about it, but we can't solve it.
Not related to point, but, how are we gonna let people know that Paige did not ask for anything?
Go for the other side.
Yeah, I mean, Paige.
And I'm not kidding you, I will totally send a letter to everybody who got that postcard, just to say, we apologize for the misunderstanding, that's certainly the least we could do, and it's not that big of a deal, so I can certainly do that for you, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Two quick things. One related to what you just said. The sign out front of my house has a different code than the one that was on the postcard. So which one is the official?
What's his address?
What's your address, sir?
5141 Old Atlanta Road. The Sunnyside sign is in front of my yard. It's on the north edge between Old Atlanta Road and
So
1940.
his is the one that's broken down between C1 and R1 by racetrack, so he would be R1. He would be R1.
Yeah, well, that's what the sign out front of the house says.
R1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, because again, you're split, right, so you'll have two, go down to one, but you're saying that the postcard did not.
No, the postcard had a different zoning.
We can take a look at that.
Okay, the other quick question.
Yes, sir.
This documentation, that chart,
Mhm.
the stuff you've shown on the screen, is this available online?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Oh, well.
It is online.
It is
It is online.
In the whole agenda packet.
In the agenda
If you wanted
packet.
us to, send you individual pages so you don't have the whole packet, we can certainly do that.
Well, no, if it's online, I can look
Okay,
at it.
super.
That's- Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Where is it in the Spalding County page, web
Yes.
address?
Yeah,
SpaldingCounty.com under government agendas.
the government agendas, planning commission, today's date, those are gonna be the associated ways to find it. Any other questions or concerns? I don't want anybody leaving feeling like I didn't answer all the questions.
One question also, when do we actually see this getting resolved?
So,
Next month.
the planning commission obviously hears it tonight, then it goes before the board of commissioners, on May the sixth. Well, assuming that nobody wants to hold it off for any reason. And then, but the approval would happen until June, right, because it takes two?
No, it
Yes,
would
no,
go,
maybe.
it would go to the May
I'm sorry, Sylvia.
23rd.
What is, May the 6th is VOC's? I was thinking May 23rd, the zoning
So
hearing.
May the 23rd, if it gets approved for a recommendation from this board tonight, it will be heard by the VOC on May the 23rd. And that, again, I can't predict if they're going to approve it, but if they approve the recommendation, should the recommendation be made by the planning commission, then it would be resolved on that day.
The Sunnyside Services District has to continue to technically exist until everything in House Bill 542 is satisfied. So this is one of those components to get zoning done in the county so that that is one more thing checked off of that statute so we can terminate the Sunnyside Services District.
That's the big equation.
That's correct.
And it is a pleasant agreement. So
That's correct. That
The
ain't-
bite-sized answer to that question is, May the 23rd. that we can, that it now becomes a part of Spalding County in terms of zoning, and it's no
But is
longer.
it gonna make it easier for a developer to come in there and start doing stuff?
It's no different than.
No, it,
No different than it is now, I mean, it
It-
doesn't, because remember what Newton said, we're keeping it what it is. I mean, this actually, to me, would protect its preservation more than jeopardize it, because now we're acknowledging at the county level, the zoning that's already in place at the former city level.
when the city of Sunnyside adopted the zoning ordinance, we tried to draft it to where it mirrored as much as possible what Spalding County already had. But there was no reason, because of the size of the area and the population, to have as many zoning districts as Spalding County has. So as a result, what we did was you had a much simpler ordinance that followed Spalding County's. I think you are better served to have more zoning districts now, which permits Ms. Reddick and her staff to have more options for dealing with a developer should they appear. But we have not had a land rush into Sunnyside since the mid-1990s. And I don't foresee that necessarily changing. It could.
I mean, somebody could call us tomorrow, whether Sunnyside existed or not, and say, I wanna apply for a rezoning for this parcel. And they would go through the same process that everybody else does. And that
Correct.
means they would have to be heard by this board, and then ultimately the board of commissioners.
That's correct.
Big concern, as you mentioned about the field that's across the street from these houses is split right now. They just run utilities down through there, and there is a service box. I'm not good with estimating distance, but at least every 150, if not 200 foot, that appears that that is gonna be a new service or an address that is gonna be developed in that field in the future. That they wouldn't have put those quote, service boxes for an underground utility so close together if there wasn't a future plan coming that we don't know, be blindsided with.
And so,
Down
let
the
me be clear, we have not permitted that, we don't know about it either, and we aren't utility, you know, the electric, or we've got some water utility. So, you know, do you think that people ever do things without getting a permit? Unfortunately, yes. And I'll be driving out there tomorrow, check it out.
But this is really obvious, somebody should have already picked up to this.
Now,
My son-in-law did.
It very well may have something to do and go all the way down and tie into Sun City, very well may be, but it's very strange that that's new, this all came about, and those service boxes are so close together, and that whole stretch of Teeman Road, from the railroad all the way to the four-way at Jordan Hill Road.
Yeah, and you're making me curious, but I want to comment on something that you said. So remember, this county, for those of you who don't know, is 200 square miles. That's a lot. There are parcels out there that are 1,000 acres. So if you see something and you want to know what's going on, call us, because you may be the reason we find out about it. So don't, in my opinion, if you want to know, let me know, let us know, so we can investigate what we need to know too. Because you can rest assured, in 200 square miles, we will not catch it all. So
And that's all been done in the last, what, 2 months? 2 months.
Ms. Reddick,
I may.
you, the code that the resident was talking about was about North Expressway Improvement District, the NEID.
The NEID, maybe what you were talking about, this is also an overlay district that goes over some of the parcels which would have been acknowledged on your postcard, but not on the sign list, because the overlays are different. Okay? So if you have more questions about that, certainly let us know. But yes, sir.
I may be able to shed some light, it may not be relevant, but there are places in Spalding County, particularly down around South Sixth Street, where they're putting in fiber optic cable, and they have boxes,
That's right.
service boxes spaced periodically that are not, probably not more than 500 or 1,000 feet apart, at least where I've seen them. But there's been activity, EMC
is providing fiber optic cable lines, and they've been putting them in lately, and that's probably Georgia Power up there. They may be doing the same thing.
So that is correct. There was fiber optic jobs being done on Tiemann Road, and they're gonna continue at the ATM this week.
But
Because I was thinking you
why
were
don't
talking about
they
cutting
put the
across.
boxes so close if they're not planning on using?
They will need to talk to the electrical
Yeah,
company.
but that would be, and I know with EMC, some of the, because remember, fiber optic isn't just about electricity, it's about internet. Okay, and so, EMC throughout its service area is putting fiber optics in to allow their customers a better internet experience. And that may be what you're saying.
A lot better.
And it's also tied to small cell wireless service too. They have to put more boxes out there to move to, what are we on, G5, 5G? The technology has changed, so you don't see as many of the high towers that you used to see. But the trade-off for that is they've got to be closer together. There was a statute that passed on that 3 or 4 years ago to authorize the use of right-of-way for that.
Okay, we've had a comment that people can't hear the comments from the audience.
That's
so
correct. I was just about to say
If we keep
it.
going, they're gonna need to come up to the podium and go through.
Okay. So if anybody has any more questions or comments, we'll ask that you come to the podium. I apologize.
And this is a good time to ask. We have 4 people that have signed up as being against the proposed rezoning. There is, I guess you can be opposed, but I think if you sat here and listened, I don't think it's gonna, whether you're for or against it is kind of a moot point. But is there anyone here that signed up that still wants to come and formally say that they are against this? State your name and address for the record.
Psych.
Okay,
And we talked about, as far as all of these, the properties that are along the boundary line.
You will need to come to the podium, sir, and
Chris,
state your
you
name
need
and
to go
address.
Mr. Chairman, let me make the suggestion, because you're going to have to vote on each of these parcels separately.
correct.
So I would ask that you identify people who want to speak generally, and then isolate down as we go through the respective parcels when they come up individually.
Okay.
Mine is a specific parcel. I can wait.
Why don't you just wait till we get through and we'll
All right.
do it as Mr. Galloway suggested. So of the 4 people that signed up, are you one of the 19 lots that are in question, or are you in the 86 lots that are within the circle of Sunset?
Mine's one of the 19.
Okay. All right. Chris Flynn has signed up. Chris Flynn, are you?
That's me.
Okay. Okay, I got you. How about Dolores Brown? Are you in the city or city of Sunnyside?
I'm right outside the city.
Okay, so you're on the 19 list. She's on the 19 list, okay. Page Valley, you're split, I remember that. Kathy McDaniel,
I asked my questions.
you're good. Okay, all right, so as Mr. Galloway suggested, we will go ahead and start on item number 3. The first application is 24-10Z, A Piece of Cake Rentals LLC owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 20B Sockwell Drive, approximately .45 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning from R1 Single Family Low Density and R2 Single Family Residential Low Density to R1 Single Family Residential. Okay? So is there anyone here from Piece of Cake or whatever? Okay. So
If there are no speakers, you can go ahead and make a motion.
we'll need a motion to approve or disapprove. I'll make a motion to approve. Have a motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Okay, application 24-11Z, Page M Valley owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 117 Teeman Road, approximately .48 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning from R1, single-family residential low density, and R2, single-family residential low density, to R1, single-family residential. Ms. Valley, do you want to come up and say anything else?
Does it matter what anybody wants at this point? Y'all gonna do what you wanna do, whether we disagree or not, you've already said you move.
No, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
I am honoring your request here to come up and speak. That's what I'm doing.
Well, just take the name off of it and do it, I guess.
All right. Okay. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the rezoning.
Okay, have a motion to approve by Ms. Upshaw. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 4-0. Application 24-12Z, First Baptist Church of Sunnyside, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 28 Church Road, parcel 500-02001, approximately 25.84 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning from AR1, agricultural and residential, and R2, single-family residential low density, to AR1, agricultural and residential. Do we have anyone here to speak for that? Apparently not. I'll entertain a motion on that. Make a motion to approve. Motion approved by Mr. Ballard. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-13, Jose R. Fabian Amezquita, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 168 Church Road, approximately .58 acres, located in land lot 108 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of R1 single-family residential low density and AR1 agricultural and residential to AR1 agricultural and residential. Is there anyone here to speak for that? Okay. No other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the zoning.
Ms. Upshaw makes the motion. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 4-0. Application 24-14, William R. and James W. Slaughter, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 101 Slaughter Road, approximately 4.0 acres, located in land lot 108 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of R1 single-family residential low density to AR1 agricultural and residential. Mr. Slaughter, do you want to add anything to that? He didn't hear.
Bill?
Mr. Billy, do you want to talk about your property? Okay. You're okay, okay.
All right. No other discussion, we'll entertain a motion. Make a motion to approve. Mr. Ballard makes the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Okay, those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-15Z, Adolfo C. and Doris Martinez, owners, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 4035 North Expressway, approximately 2.09 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay. Anyone here to speak for that property? Okay. There's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be appropriate to assure the audience that when you ask if here's somebody to speak, and they are, that it might make a difference. I don't want anybody here thinking, well, this is a done deal, they're gonna do whatever the hell they want.
Well, I asked him. And
I know that, but at the same time, sometimes if people don't feel like getting up is gonna help them, they won't do it.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-16Z, Samuel James Davidson, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 0 School Road, parcel 500-06030, approximately .39 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement Overlay, District Overlay.
I have a question for staff. The application states it's 0 School Road, and yet on the summary page in our notebooks, we have 85 School Road. Is there a conflict with
I
that?
suspect one is his house and one is his business.
There's 2 different parcels. They're referenced by parcel numbers.
Thank you.
Okay.
In that case, make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Ms. Upshaw. Have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-17Z, Ted Davidson, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 0 North Expressway, parcel 241A, 02034A, approximately 6.5 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay. Mr. Davidson here, by the way. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Mr. Harris moves to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-18Z, Kalahi Florida and Alba Verde Parvin, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 0 North Expressway, parcel 241A, 02034A, approximately .39 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay. Either one of those individuals here? I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-19Z, 3981 North Expressway LLC, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners, agent, 3981 North Expressway, approximately .96 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1D heavy commercial and C2 manufacturing to C1D highway commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay. Anyone here on that property? Okay. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that it be approved.
I have a motion to approve by Mrs. Upshaw. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-20Z, Kaiser and Tazim Bawab, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners, agent, 3970 North Expressway, approximately .8 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay. We have either one of those individuals here. Okay, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve. Have a motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-21Z, Samuel James Davidson, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners, agent, 3970 North Expressway, approximately .8 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District. And he's not here. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Have a second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Okay, those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-22Z, Stephen J. Bias, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners, agent, 5141 Old Atlanta Road, approximately 1.6 acres, located in land lot 108 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial and R1 Single Family Residential Low Density to R1 Single Family Residential Low Density and North Expressway Improvement District.
I make a motion to approve.
Excuse me, that's me.
Okay,
Whoops, sorry.
No problem.
You can come up here.
I just had a question about the district, the improvement district. What exactly does that,
I believe that goes back to the old days when they had the land in the county split out and surveyed, and that's the district.
Any
it was,
idea?
correct?
No.
So there is an overlay district that is known as the North Expressway Improvement District.
Yeah.
And so the acronym NEID. So your property lies within that overlay, and we're just identifying it. It's not really a part of the rezoning because it's in the overlay, because the overlay has a boundary, but we thought it was prudent to acknowledge it on the documentation.
okay. Could you repeat the acreage?
It says 1.6 acres approximately.
Okay. Could you point out to me on this chart where this is? Because it didn't have landmarks, and I'm kind of new to the area.
That's land district 3, and that goes Eva, could you say what, number that was, property number?
5141 Old Atlanta Road. And it's, application 24-22Z. At the end of the page, on the back.
That's right up there at the top of, on Georgia 3 going, the north end up there. On
It's
the-
by racetrack, yes,
On
sir.
the west side? Okay.
I have it pulled up in the
I
computer.
just want to be sure.
Yeah, the Sunnyside sign is in my front yard.
Okay. All right. All right. There's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Make a motion to approve. Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 4-0. Application 24-23Z, Adrian Hernandez and Estrell Castro, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 5113 Old Atlanta Road, approximately .72 acres, located in land lot 108 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial and R1 Single Family Residential Low Density to R1 Single Family Low Density, Residential Low Density and North Expressway Improvement District. Is Mr. Hernandez here? Okay, all right. There's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Ms. Upshaw, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-24Z, BRTU Construction, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 79 School Road, approximately 2 acres located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial of North Expressway Improvement District. Do we have someone here from construction company? No. All right. There's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Mr. Harris. Have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Application 24-25Z, 4026 North Expressway, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 4026 North Expressway, approximately 8.35 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial in North Expressway Improvement District. I'll entertain a motion. I don't
Motion to approve.
I second the motion.
all right. Okay. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Okay. Yes, an LLC. Let that off.
Application 24-26Z, Kaiser and Tazim Bawab, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 3970 North Expressway, parcel 500-06010, approximately 1.2 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial to C1 Highway Commercial and North Expressway Improvement District overlay.
I make
Is
a
anyone
motion
here
to
speak
approve.
to that? Okay, there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Harris, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Upshaw. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-27Z, Kathy D. and George W. Culver, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 4883 Old Atlanta Road, approximately 1.04 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial and R1 Single Family Residential Low Density to R1 Single Family Residential Low Density and North Expressway Improvement District. The Culvers here. Okay. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Ballard. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Harris. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Application 24-28Z, Faircroft Investments LLP, owner, Spalding County Board of Commissioners agent, 4890 Old Atlanta Road, approximately 2.36 acres, located in land lot 107 of the 3rd Land District. Spalding County is requesting a rezoning of C1 Highway Commercial and R1 Single Family Residential Low Density to R1 Single Family Residential Low Density and North Expressway Improvement District. Faircroft Investments is here.
Indeed.
All right.
My name is Chris B. Flint. I live at 117 Runnymede Road in Spalding County. I am the managing partner of Faircroft Investments LLP, which is known in some areas around here as the Flint Family Partnership. In addition to other property in the county, we own 2 parcels that are along the Old Atlanta Road. You probably all know where the Quonset hut is on Old Atlanta Road. That's one of the parcels. And then it goes, the property line between that and the next parcel that we own is right about where the city limits were. And there's some at least confusion in my mind about which of these parcels is affected. But I think what the intent is to do is to make the parcel that was in the city limits, the 500-07003 property, R1. And the zoning office was kind enough to print off a piece of paper showing me where the parcels are, and on the 2 parcels in question, the one within the city, formerly the city, there's the letter R and 1 that's on my copy, and then the other property where the Quonset hut is indicated at C1. Now, I may be dumb, but I thought R1 meant residential, C1 meant commercial. But then I looked on my Q Public map on my phone, and when you pull up the report on each piece of property, it mentions the zoning as being R3 on both pieces. And so I got even more confused at that point. And, I think we don't do anything with that property. It just lays there dormant, except I store stuff in the Quonset hut. And we certainly don't intend to do anything. But if half of this property, the parcel with the Quonset hut on it is, let's see, I don't see is 2.36 acres. And then the property in question is, well, wait a minute. No, that's 2.36, and the other one's about 3.65. And it's our position that we'd like to have all this property zoned the same, whether it's R1, R3, C1, preferably C1, because I think that's the highest and best use of the property. And in justification of that, the property is not particularly desirable for residential purposes, in as much as the railroad is on the backside of the property to the east. And according to the map that I got today, from the zoning office, there are 2 commercial properties indicated across the street, across Old Atlanta Road, and I tried to check the zoning on them, looking at the report on my phone, and I don't know if they're C1 or not. But if there's a way we could just call all of this C1 and be done with it, that would suit us fine. If we need to take some additional time to figure it all out, that'd be fine too. So, but I'll certainly accede to your decision, and just wanted to, it just doesn't make any sense for half of it to be a residential zone, the other half to be a commercial zone. And the other thing is the overlay for the North Expressway Improvement District. I don't know if that impacts these properties or not, because they're about a half a mile from the 4-lane. And, but it seems to impact some of these other properties. So I don't know anything about the overlay. And, so I'm in the dark. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it.
I
And
think we got some answers. If you'll hold your fire, I think we got some answers here.
Okay.
Well, maybe not answers, but some clarity. So if you see on this map, this is that city limit line that we're talking about.
Yep.
The circular line. So this property that you're discussing that is C1, that's not affected by this transaction at all, because it's not part of it. Just this little end piece of the R1 parcel that's within the Sunnyside district. So it is cut by the boundary, as he mentioned, and it's just basically this little square piece at the end, and I don't know, we talked about that today, I don't know how much space that is. So this would be what we would be requesting to make R1, but the only reason we're requesting that is because the majority of the parcel is already R1. But of course, this board, should you want to consider making this C1, I would have to defer to some legal counsel, which is not my favorite thing to do, I'm kidding. But I don't know that can you do that during this transaction? And typically you could, except for we have local regulations about sending out postcards. And I don't know that we could do it and forego that.
Well,
That would have to be a new question. But, and to your point, it's certainly surrounded by other commercial properties, but just to be clear, this is already R1, or now you're saying R3, which now Newton can clarify. What is R3?
R3, Chris, that's what the tax commissioner assigns to the property. It is nothing, it has nothing to do with zoning. It's a classification for value. And to answer Sylvia's, you have the authority to zone it once it's presented to any constitutional classification. So if you make a decision that C1's appropriate to satisfy the constitutional right to develop or have that property, you can do so now because it's been noticed and it's been published for this hearing.
Can we move it down because,
To see the whole R1 parcel?
well, just to see up to Teeman Road, because I think that the corner of Teeman is
City Hall.
commercial, and then you have, I guess, one residential parcel between that and
Yeah, this is
that
the
area.
city hall.
Yeah,
It
that
all
was
goes
old.
along the railroad in a very narrow
This is being zoned
strip
to
of land, like you
residential.
said, that would not lend itself to too much
Yeah,
residential.
the property used to go all the way to Teeman Road, but I think my father gifted where the city hall and park is to the city of Sunnyside, and I believe the residential part to the south was the parsonage for one of the churches.
Now, I do want to clarify, Commissioner, that this commercial, we are actually requesting to make that residential in this list of addresses because it's surrounded by residential. So, but that's neither here nor there to your decision about what to
I
consider.
have a question on that. There is an existing building on that site.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, he needs to come up and speak if you want to take comments.
You need commercial business. Name and address for the record.
My name is Chris Valley, live at 117 Teamer Road in Hampton, Georgia. Sunnyside. There is an existing building there on that property that is zoned C1. That is kind of, sometimes it's in use, right now it's kind of storage stuff. So if it's turned into residential, what are they gonna be required to do with that office building?
So if it's current, when we change the underlying zoning, that doesn't mean we get to go in and say everybody out. The use stays the same unless, say, it is abandoned or it falls into disrepair, or if it was dormant for, I don't know, it was
A year.
So if they wanted to, so it's being used as commercial now, if that's what I understand you saying, then that won't change until it's not being used at all for a year, then it would have to come into compliance. So, and I appreciate you bringing this up, because that is something that we want to make sure that the planning commission is fully engaged in that thought while they're making this decision. So you may decide that you'd rather leave it commercial. Obviously, you have that authority, you've heard from the attorney. Our recommendation was to put it as residential because it was surrounded by residential, but if you want to consider Mr. Flint's suggestion that this becomes C1 instead of R1, then it's no longer surrounded by residential. So you may also want to, change the way you consider that. So just, so the parts you would want to consider are, do we leave this C1, recommend C1 or R1? Or are you prepared to recommend this become C1 to partner with this other parcel down here? And we would just have to acknowledge that in the motion, and that you would approve.
Question, why is NEID crossing Old Atlanta and going over to the east side? Because the original understanding when we did that, I thought, it didn't cross,
Frank, it's based on a map.
it didn't cross Old Atlanta.
Generally, it does not, but it's based upon a map.
It went all the way to the track.
It goes all the way to the tracks. Yes, sir.
Okay?
And just remember, let's just say you wanted to redraw the boundaries of the overlay district, you wouldn't do that tonight.
That's correct, you could not.
We're just letting you, we're just acknowledging to the aggregate parcels that they would be in EID. So if you wanted to take that, action, it would take a different action and different ramifications, and, would be something we would have to discuss with us amongst yourselves and then ultimately the Board of Commissioners. But
Oh.
right now, the Northeast Expressway Improvement District goes all the way to the track.
At that
So all we'd have to
location,
do
at that
is have a
particular.
motion to approve and we just deny it.
I'm sorry? Which one?
We could just deny that then, if we have to. Because that's strictly a commercial area up there. I don't care if it's what it's surrounded by.
Well, what you might want to do is to recommend that parcel remain C1, so you deny the
Okay.
recommendation, yes, sir. And then you deny the recommendation to make this little part R1, and instead recommend that the whole parcel be reclassified as C1. Yes, sir.
You're so much more loquacious than I am.
Oh, indeed, you know. So, but that's right.
Do you want to make that motion?
Yeah.
So you can make the motion as I just stated, or you can have Newton restate it for you, who is even better than me.
How about council
No, my
restating?
loquaciousness pales in comparison.
Indeed. So again, this, why don't you read for the record, Eva, what is the parcel number on this small one?
You can't.
Well, I don't have a dog in
It's
that.
4890 Old
So it would be
Atlanta
the
Road.
same. I'm sorry?
It's 4890 Old Atlanta Road.
4890 Old Atlanta to deny the recommended R1 and to leave it as C1. And then for the parcel, for the bottom half, bottom piece of his parcel, they want to make a motion to recommend denial of turning this into R1 and instead turning the whole parcel, which address or number is?
40.
507,003.
500,0703 to C1. And then you can make that motion as stated by the Community Development Director.
Thank you.
So you made the motion, Mr. Terry?
I don't know that I can repeat that. It was done so well.
You don't have to repeat it, just
He does have motion
as stated by.
If you will, I'll second.
I just did. Thank you.
The motion's to go to C1.
And to leave that other piece remaining.
Seconded by Ballard.
So the motion is to deny R1 and approve C1 zoning on parcel, hang on,
Give us the parcel number again, Eva.
500,07003.
Yep.
2.36 acres.
And then also the other one.
Then there's another parcel too, isn't it?
The,
but Frank, that was your motion,
Take care of
Yes.
later.
second by
Okay.
Bruce.
yes.
Yes.
All right, then y'all need to go ahead and vote on that before we go to the other parcel.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna do it separately, okay?
Those for denial? No. Nay? How many nays?
No
I'm
nays.
sorry, you're voting nay to deny?
No, I'm voting yes. to
Deny
the-
or
I'm voting
would
yes to
approve
deny.
Right.
We deny and then make a second motion to approve?
think we need
Or are we
two
going to make a
motions.
simple?
Right.
If you want to, that's
I
fine,
think we need two motions.
but you've denied R1.
Okay. Motion to deny R1 is approved.
Okay.
Motion to approve
See,
C1,
as articulated by.
yes. All right, are you, you're making the motion. All right, I need a second. Second. Mr. Ballard. Those in favor? 4.5. 3.5. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, what is
But
the
now
other
we need to
parcel?
do the other parcel. Eva, yes, Mr. Flint, we're done.
The
with
other
your-
parcel is parcel 500,06019.
And what's the associated, number, 24 dash what? The case number?
Which, okay, I've lost track of you. Which parcel are you talking about?
Oh, no,
That one.
Well, so it's not one of the 19 that we've already talked about?
No.
Okay, so yeah, so it doesn't need that. So go ahead, yes, sorry about that, Chairman. So that would be another where you're going to deny rezoning to R1. And if you want a separate motion, we'll do it in a minute. So you would call for a motion to deny R1 zoning for parcel number 500,06019.
But that parcel is within,
That's one of the
it's
86.
it's one of the
That's
86.
one of the 86.
So what you would do is approve, the motion on that is going to be approve the zoning map with the following exceptions.
That's
So
coming
we'll
up in a
go with the other one.
That's
All
on the
right, very
next
good.
Is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. Clarity.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to recommend approval or denial of the 86 parcels within the city limits to the city of Sunnyside. So this will be the time to strike for their, to approve 85 of them and then deny the one. Is there anybody signed up separately? No, we're done on signing.
That's the map, correct? All right.
All right.
All right, hold on a minute. Just so you are clear, all right, this is being approved or denied as the adoption of a zoning ordinance under zoning procedures law. The reason for that being, we are taking the position that if it is in the service district, that is a separate entity, essentially still under House Bill 542, which allows you to consider within that area the adoption of a zoning map at one time. So, your motion is to approve this zoning map as is within the circle, with the exception, what is his parcel?
500,
500-06-019. Pink one right there, and
Okay,
down, you go down, the one there, pink one right there, where you can
Yep.
with the exception that 500-06-019, this goes to C1 or remains?
It just remains C1.
Remains C1.
Then you don't need to do anything then.
Look, well, if it was advertised for rezoning, I think we need to call it out, as it won't be rezoned according to the, we were recommending a rezoning to R1.
Oh. Parcel number one.
Yeah, that was the little piece at the end of it, wasn't
It's at the bottom. He had the right one. No, Ava, that's the one. That's his parcel.
That's his parcel.
Yeah. So the
Which
one,
is it that's C1 that goes, that's R1 that goes to C1?
no, that we recommended R1, that they're denying the recommendation, and it will remain C1. It's the one right there. No?
Oh, yeah, because it's split.
That's right.
It's split.
No, yeah. So what they just made the motion on is the one that's split.
All right, so this is already zoned in C1.
Part of it.
Part of this is C1. They just denied changing this part to C1, to R1, and instead changed the whole parcel to C1.
All right, and this is, you may have done it for clarity, we will make it clear that it applies to that parcel.
That's the motion you just made.
Correct.
The one that we're asking for you, that you want to also make, is for this parcel to not, our recommendation was to change it to R1, and instead you want to leave it as C1.
it? Right.
And
Okay.
then
All right.
the
So
city
moved.
hall. Sylvia,
Okay.
Sylvia, the city, no, the city.
The little small one there is the 500-06-019.
This is remain C1.
They want it to remain C1.
All right, then it's on, if you adopt the map, you got C1 covered right there.
But you
It'll-
know,
They'll double up on this one.
Right. but just so we're clear, this is the existing map, not the new one.
Oh,
Yeah, so under the recommendation.
okay.
Because, so the recommendation would be, is
Sorry.
that this C1 for City Hall changes to that office or the public institutional. That this C1 changes to R1.
Okay.
That this C1 now will stay C1. And that the ones that were, there were also three that had no zoning, that we assigned a zoning, and all that's in your information.
All right, if it's in the information, that's fine. You adopt it as described.
Except for that one
Except
thing.
for this one.
So back to what you're gonna adopt the recommendations, you're gonna adopt the recommendations, except for this parcel that is 500-06-019, you deny that recommendation and leave it as.
And then the changes will be shown on the map after they've, on the new map.
Just a question there at the corner of Teeman, where is now, we're talking about going to institutional.
Where the City Hall is?
Yeah. If it's not gonna be City Hall anymore.
It's just like we're using it as a rec building.
It's a spreadsheet.
Okay.
It has everything that we're switching over.
Look, it'd be
So this is gonna be
commercial.
Spalding County.
Yes, Spalding County owns it. In fact, we've already, Leisure Services is already getting phone calls about wanting to rent it out.
Okay, well, that's what I was wondering. It seemed like a good little parcel for somebody to do something with.
Look, a great beauty
And the
shop.
playground will be maintained, so the community can still use it how it is.
Can we make a real like recommendation for a name for the building since it's no longer gonna be, see, like the Sunnyside Community Center?
Sure.
Sounds great, yeah.
Go to the Board of Commissioners and
Yeah.
propose it, sure.
And everybody doesn't have to call Mr. Slaughter to rent it.
And you all need to know who your county commissioner is too.
But, so could Spalding County not continue to use it and utilize, do what you plan to do and leave it C1? Or would it have
have to be institutional?
It would be better, where the city hall is, would be better to be an office class, in my view, because you don't want to have some commercial development that came up there and be right next to the playground.
What about a beauty parlor or a lawyer's office?
Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it
That's-
needs to be acknowledged as a public building because we own it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good with that. Just question.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like the idea of naming it. That's a good idea. I'll pass that along.
Okay, so are we gonna go ahead and approve the map as it is and then do the exception, or how?
Can I make a motion?
Sure.
All right. I'll make a motion in regard to the 86 parcels that are so noted and recommended. We have the proposed new zoning that's recommended by the administration. And with that, I recommend that we go ahead and move forward with the recommendation of the 85, with the exception of the one parcel, 500-06019. Recommend leaving that at C1 as opposed to changing that to the proposed R1.
Okay, I have a motion, as stated by Mr. Ballard,
And I second.
and it's seconded by Ms. Upshaw. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay.
Right, man.
That's cleaned up. Okay. Down to item 5, Amendment 2106, solar district use. A proposed amendment to regulate the installation and construction of solar panels less than 3 acres in relevant zoning districts.
And I'm going to let our
solar
local
expert-
historian and solar expert.
Okay. Folks, this is a cleanup issue. Back while Deborah Bell was still here, we adopted Appendix M to allow solar generation facilities in Spalding County of varying sizes and of varying types. There was a corresponding ordinance that took those definitions and allowed them in districts, in their respective zoning districts. That ordinance never got approved for some reason. As a result, when Sylvia got here, I raised this with her. We had previously raised this with Brad Vaughn and Kelly, but it never made it to an agenda. And then, as we got to it, we realized because of other changes, we had to further make changes to the solar district ordinance. So what you have in front of you is a code amendment that identifies the various solar generation facilities and uses, and then assigns them to districts. So for example, an integrated solar system would be a house built with solar power generating shingles. That's allowed in every residential zoning class. Utility scale, the large solar farms are only allowed in rural or industrial commercial zones. Now, the definitions have not changed from what y'all adopted in 2021, I believe. But this simply takes those definitions and places them in specific districts. Okay?
That's good.
All right, that's straightforward. Huh? Any other discussion?
What is this, A20?
You got any discussion about it? All right. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
We'll move to approve.
Have a motion to approve Amendment 2106. Do I have a second?
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ballard. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All right, item 6, staff has suggested that we table this for, needs a little more development. Amendment 2107, accessory use limitations. So I'll entertain a motion for table.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Okay, it's tabled.
You want to vote? You have to vote.
Yeah, you have to vote.
All
All in favor? Everybody?
All in favor? All right, trying to read ahead here. All right, we have minutes from January the 30th. I'm not sure if our
Oh, who was? I'm sorry.
minutes editor has struck.
Look good.
All right, Bruce said they look good, so that's all. we
Motion
need.
Harris, second Ballard.
Well, thank you. Y'all good with it?
Y'all good with minutes?
I'm good.
All right, motion to approve the minutes?
You need a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, signify by raising right hand. Okay, duly done. Okay. All right, it's time for the infamous report of the director.
I think the meeting speaks for the report itself. I appreciate everyone coming tonight. I always appreciate questions. It helps keep us better informed about ourselves and our processes. I will definitely send out those letters to make sure that is clear for your neighbors, and I appreciate you coming to point that out to me.
Very good. Next item is, any of the commissioners got anything they need to vent on?
Well, I'd like to explain why to the audience, why I seemed reluctant to raise my hand the whole way. I'm still recovering from a 4.5-hour operation to replace a reverse shoulder replacement that I'd had 7 or 8 years ago. But I'm in it for the long haul.
Eventually, I think we need to revisit the Arthur K. Bolton overlay, because I think things are gonna move out there,
Mhm.
and, I know you've got a lot to do. There are a couple of things, I think, especially dealing with, boundaries and borders and screening and so forth, that we need to revisit.
And I would recommend, if we can find that everyone's agreeable, that it might be prudent to convene both this board and the BOC together to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So Chairman, if you're agreeable to that, then I can speak with the county manager about trying to get a date.
Agreeable.
Excellent, excellent, sir.
All right, most important item, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
This may be a direct question for Eva, but when we were talking about the website, when I went on Spalding County on the calendar, the only thing on the calendar is the Board of Commissioner meetings. So if the calendar could be updated to include these, and the other county meetings would be helpful, because it was kind of roundabout way to find out that we were on the right day. I kept telling her that it was on Mondays, and she said, no, I think it says the last Tuesday of the month. So if the calendar could be merged for all of the county meetings, it would be helpful.
Okay, and I would like to, I'm about to give you my cell phone number. Everybody take it down. Share it with whomever you want. It is not protected information. Eva, tell them what it is. Yeah, I think it's in your phone. I still don't know it by heart, but take it down and seriously, because I don't, it hurts my feelings to think it's hard for you to find information, and while we want to resolve it, I want you to always have a direct access to ask me questions. And I text like a teenager, so just know that, but you can call me too. Eva, if you'll just let them
Alright.
know what my,
Guys are ready? All right, 678-572-7217. I'm gonna repeat it one more time. 678-572-7217.
and my name is Sylvia Reddick, and I work closely with Eva, and we're in the Community Development Department. So, and like I say, if you pass something and you want to know what's going on, call me, because you may be doing me a favor by letting me know something too. Call me, text me, whatever, however you need to get in touch with me. All right, that's